Hello and welcome to Rebel Republic. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. This is the best political talk show in all of central Massachusetts, only on 97.9 Unity Radio. And with me, as always, he can't pay his bills. Enjoy. And now he will no longer have to. Frank Cristiano, all the way from the
Trump's,
Dominican Republic.
Trump's giving me a pass on my taxes. This is fantastic.
Yes, because you voted for him. You're getting pardoned. You're not going to pay taxes. It's all going to be cupcakes and joy from now on.
If I can, Steve, I want to tell you, I'm in a Dominican Republic in a dark and safe place. It's a safe space for people that actually oppose the past elections. So we're in here. We need to be very quiet.
You need to be very
We're,
quiet.
hold-
Yes.
we're holding hands. It's me, three waiters, and a server, and we're just relaxing and trying to take deep breaths on this election.
And I'd also like to introduce the next greatest influencer. We are going to get him to 1 million subscribers. Go to the Coach Schumann Sports and Entertainment YouTube channel. Smash that subscribe button so we get there. David Schumann, all the way from New Jersey.
That's good to be on. Listen, at least now maybe Trump can get lights there for Frank Cristiano, so he won't be in the dark. You know what I mean?
Well,
That's
I mean, he's got to get us lights. I mean, he threw toilet paper at Puerto Rico. There has to be some lights coming the way over here. Actually, 2 days ago there was an earthquake here, only like centered 30 minutes away from where we are, but we didn't feel a thing. There was a magnitude 8.6 in Cuba, and so that probably wiped them off for 20 years. And then we had like a 4.3 here, but we didn't feel anything.
Wow.
So I wanted to get your thoughts first of all with the voting that ended up coming out. Trump and JD Vance had 312 electoral college votes to Kamala's 226 with Tim Walz, and the popular vote was 75 million, basically to 71 million. What were your thoughts? Yeah, Frank, I'll start with you on the race in general. Some of the battleground states: Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, all falling to Trump's way.
Yeah, here's my first thought. How many votes did the Democrats get? How many votes did Harris get?
They got 71 million total.
So 71 million. So I need to find where the other 10 million registered voters came from in the last election. If I could find that out, I think that would guide me a little bit more as to figure out how the Democratic.
So there were 72 total votes in the last election that they won.
No. There were 81. Joe Biden received 81 million votes. So there's a roughly 10 plus million
81
votes.
million votes?
He got more votes
Trump
than Obama ever did.
Trump had 70.
He had 74, 73.
74,
it was a little less than that, but yeah, 74 I think it was. But bottom line, the 2 terms of Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, what Trump got, they were all 69, 70 million votes, somewhere in there. Joe Biden got 81 million votes during the pandemic.
That doesn't make sense.
When they were using cardboard boxes to collect mail-in ballots on the streets. So figure it out yourselves. Now, the whole idea is, go back and think about it. There was voting fraud. There had to be. There's no other.
There's no other explanation
of 10 million votes. No way.
Right. Frank, John Adams, George Washington, and Thomas Jefferson casted votes for Biden. I mean,
the thirds. They forgot to put in the thirds.
Yeah, yes, they forgot. They're like, oh no.
That's crazy. I didn't know it was off by that much. So
Right.
81 million people voted for Biden, and Trump had 79 million.
Or
And
75 million, something like that.
Yeah,
so
24,
so that so that means overall less people voted in this election.
By like 20
overall, yeah.
million.
Right. And less Democrats all of a sudden. But you're telling me the most highly contested
That,
election ever.
that
Okay,
doesn't add
ever.
up.
You're the $1,019,000,000 spent by Kamala Harris's campaign in 3 months. So they raised $1 billion in 3 months. They spent everything, and now they're $20 million in debt that they owe service workers and
Oh my
stadium
God.
workers, wherever they hold these concerts. And then when you go and look at it, see, Trump raised like $368 million. I think that's what he spent on the campaign. And actually, I think close to over 400. Trump has like 60, $70 million left over. So Trump's campaign, 368 million spent, $12 million spent on salaries. In other words, on the labor part of it, right? Kamala Harris had $1 million, 1,018,000,000 in her campaign funding. They spent $537 million on labor. So
What?
you figure,
Really?
yes, 537 million on labor, and they paid all their entertainment. So all these stars that were going to do concerts to attract people to go to their rallies were actually being. So Beyonce received $10 million on the books from the Harris campaign to show up,
Just for
sing,
just for
vote,
that.
vote,
Wow.
vote for Harris, and she walked off the stage, didn't even perform. Eminem got 1.5 million. I forget who else got.
Oprah's production company got $1 million.
Oh, production company. Well, she got more than that because
Oh,
she
yeah.
doing the production of it. She got tens of millions in her production company. So see, you have to look at it.
Eminem appeared for Kamala.
Yes, and of course, everybody did. They all came out of the woodworks. You know why they were coming out of the woodworks? They were getting paid. So
Oh,
they're
okay.
paid performers, they're paid actors, just like these people online. When you go on social media and all these people are talking in favor of Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or whatever, they're paid actors. They get checks sent to the house every week. So people got to wake up to this shit. You can say anything you want about the abortion issue. You can say about the economy's doing great right now. You can defend her saying it's the first woman you want to have. Whatever it is, you can say it. But it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit because all you got to do is follow the trail of money, and then you'll know who is respectable and who is not. Follow Donald Trump's trail of money, and most of it was spent in the last 3 weeks on the transgender issue. It was spent on the
Yes,
women in
yes.
sports,
Abortion.
people, not abortion. They really didn't put
No,
that much money on
No,
abortion. No, it was more
okay.
of the DEI,
correct.
transgender competing in sports. They focused on that hard, and they hit the Democratic Party
Does
hard.
that
Transgender
hit? Does that hit? If you're a parent, okay,
transgender competing in sports. That
yeah.
was like
Against
that
women.
was a major
Well,
issue,
no, because if
really.
you're a parent, parents don't want. Okay, and Frank knows this, and one day you'll know this when you're a parent. Parents do not want the government interfering, okay, and dictating how people are raised. Number one. Number two, they do not want them influencing what their kid becomes. And number three, they do not want to compete against girls, especially if you're a father or mother of a girl. They do not want their daughters competing with a man that becomes a woman. Those three things were big things that Trump was able to hit home. And he just said today that there is male and female in America. And if you're once you become 18 years old and you want to whatever you want to do, that's your right. But we're not going to allow minors to be influenced or guided or taken to a doctor that is willing to do something that is when people talk about morality. I mean, come on, give me a break. A kid's brain has not even matured yet, and we're making decisions that affect their whole entire life. and their brains haven't even matured to really understand who they even are. It's craziness.
Dave,
And
this
you
country
know,
stepped up. This country stepped up, okay, to stop the insanity of such a
correct.
small, minute segment of the society. It is beyond recall to be able to think that that train of thought process is normal. And I don't care. People take normal as like a fine line. You have to no. You can be up and down on normal, but you can't be psychotic on the
Yes.
end of normal.
No, no, not at all. I wanted to get your thoughts because this was just reported. GOP rep Mike Waltz has been tapped to be Trump's national security advisor. He's the second House Republican offered a role in the Trump administration. So, Frank or Dave, can you explain to me what it means to be the head of the NSA? Are they the ones like tapping our phones and getting all the information?
Well, yeah, I mean, they have a big role. They're obviously they are able to consume tons of information from all the different agencies to be able to provide the president with guidance in how to make future moves. So that is a huge, huge, huge move and a hire for Donald Trump. But I think what you missed, and I was talking with Dave earlier on, is actually the Secretary of State will be Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio has just been appointed. He'll be the first Latino in that
And
position ever.
and he ran for president in 2020,
He's a in 2016. He is a competent
2016. Okay.
competent politician. He's well spoken.
Yes.
He's well respected in that community. He's done a great job in the state of Florida. I mean, you're putting a man who, and you're putting also someone. You can look at all these picks right now. We were talking with Dave earlier on too. All these picks right now are people that are going to be loyal to Donald Trump. So there's not going to be any more memoirs. There's not going to be any more leaks. There's not going to be any
Well,
more guys walking by say that they overheard this on the phone, that on the phone. He's going to. This is what he's learned in his 4 years. He's going to correct the mistakes of who he has working with him, so everyone will be on the same page and will be guided to the same direction.
well, and they
And
also said that I'm sorry, Dave, that he's not going to have any family member in his cabinet, which is kind of unusual, isn't it? Didn't you expect someone like Donald Trump Jr. to be part of his cabinet or fit in somewhere?
I don't have an expectation one way or the other. I expect him to
Okay.
pick what he's doing right now, which is the best person that he thinks is for the job. And Susan Wiles, the chief of staff, she's the first female chief of staff. Okay, it's so funny how people label nonsense things. They throw around terms like racism and misogyny and any of these e's at the end or isms. And he's gone and appointed Susan Wiles. He appointed, obviously, Marco Rubio, as Frank just mentioned. He appointed Elise Stefanik as the UN ambassador, who me and Frank were obviously talking about it briefly before you got on, before the show. She's the person that went after the Harvard professor, the Harvard president, and the other university presidents who were defending the anti-Semitic non-action policies that was going against the Jewish students. He appointed Tom Homan as the border czar. Most famously, people who know Tom Homan when he was getting grilled by AOC about not separating families, and he most famously talked about how he talks about two things that I think are phenomenal. Number one, he says if someone is arrested for DUI and the father is there and the child is there, they take the father off to jail and the child is separated from the family. It's no different in this situation. You're breaking a federal statute by coming into the country illegally, and that's what his job is, to do that. And the second thing is one of the things that he stated, which is great. If you don't want to break up families, and one person is here illegally and the other person is here illegally, then the people can all go back to their country of origin. That is perfect, fine. You don't have to break up the family, but there's no illegal people coming over, legal migrants coming over to this country. That is going to come to an end to the best of Trump's ability, and Tom Homan is the guy to do that. He appointed New York guy, Lee Zeldin, as the EPA administrator. So you're not going to you're who's a lifelong Republican, New York representative, starch conservative. He's going to have our energy back in the way that it should be, where we're going to be able to do things that we need to be energy independent, like fracking. I mean, you can go right down. This is just in the first day or two. Stephen Miller is the other guy that's going to be in charge of like policy, which is most importantly the border and mass deportations. He's a fantastic leader as well. So the Trump and you mentioned Mike Waltz, national security advisor, right? So these guys are and gals, and Rubio, who's Cuban, first Hispanic Secretary of State. These people are leaders that Trump is now appointing. They are great leaders in their own right, and he's putting these people in place to get the country back in order. And I can tell you, the wokies have no idea what to do. They are scrambling. They just double down on all their nonsense over and over again, and nobody is buying it. And it's funny because you see people like Bernie Sanders saying, we've got to come back to the working class Americans. And you see the infighting because Nancy Pelosi tells Bernie to shut up. You could see how the Democrats do not know what to do because they had their opportunity and they blew it. They absolutely blew their opportunity.
Dave, you know what I get back? Lee Zeldin in the state of New York. I get my gas pizza ovens back, and I get my wood-fired pizza ovens back. We're back in business, baby. Lee Zeldin.
Awesome.
Yep. And let me tell you something. I just want to say, I think I called it correctly when I talked about percentages of vote. First of all, this country gave a big FU finger, okay, to the liberal agenda, because not only does he have 312 electoral votes or whatever he got to it, he won the popular vote. He won the popular vote, first Republican president since Reagan to win the popular vote. Hell, Dave, he almost won New Jersey and New York.
Yep.
New Jersey was a 4.5-point state. That's insanity. So people are giving the big finger to the liberal agenda. Okay, so too many DEI issues, not enough paycheck in the pocket issues. And when we talked about percentages of voters, I called 25 to 28% African American vote. That's what he got. I called 40% Latino vote. He got 50% Latino vote. You know why he got that? They were talking about the abortion. Most all Latinos are Catholic. They believe in Catholicism. They don't believe in abortion, so they're not going to support that issue. That's going to be a big issue for them on the opposite end. And we have to thank a gay conservative man in the state of Pennsylvania, who's a blogger and YouTuber, and he went out and single-handedly aroused 180,000 Amish to vote Republican in the state of Pennsylvania, which definitely helped flip that state red.
There's no doubt about it. And Elon Musk spent the whole entire week there in Pennsylvania and sent vans for any Amish that did not have the ability to get to the polls and wanted to vote.
Right.
And why did the Amish come out in droves? Because the government specifically targeted them and their farms, a small farm, and they targeted them, they shut them down, and that's their living. And this is the whole thing that Americans as a whole, okay, are saying no more to. We do not want government overreach. We do not want them overstepping their bounds. We want them to protect us, okay? That's what they're there to do. But we don't want them interfering in our business, interfering in our lives, and we don't want them jamming their agenda, leftist agenda, down our throat. I don't want to be able. I want to be able to sit in a comedy club again and be able to laugh at the jokes.
Yeah.
I like to laugh at the jokes, and you know what? They're funny. Sometimes they're coming after me. Sometimes they're coming after you. It's all funny. And the fact that people walking around on eggshells, no more. And the great part about it is you saw with the Trump movement the second time, people who were voting for Trump because it was including all different genders, race, You have guys like Dave Rubin, who is a homosexual, who's a big podcast guy, one of the biggest podcasts, conservative podcasts. Okay, he's
Not as big as us, though.
We're on our way. He's including all these people and saying, "Hey, we're here for you because we want people to have an opportunity. We don't want inflation." All of these main things hit regular Americans, people who are trying to go and get food, but put gas in their car, be able to take a family trip. We'd all like to take a family trip to the DR, like Frank is. Be able to take those kind of things and be able to enjoy them and not have to always worry about things continuing to rise from it. Housing is a huge problem.
Huge, yeah.
Listen, that's what's almost turning. That's one of the things that's turning New Jersey and New York. You can't find affordable housing.
Not even close. No.
Listen, Dave. So my friend, I graduated high school with him. He was down in the Bronx for 25 years as a teacher, history teacher. Made 110 grand his last 3 years. He's got his pension. He sold his parents' house. His parents passed away. Didn't make a ton of on the house, but made some money. And he tried living in the United States for a year. Couldn't do it. Affordability wise, he can't pay $1,800 a month for an apartment and a car and gas and insurance and food and internet and phone. So then he moves. He goes to Mexico. Then he goes to Mexico City. Then he leaves and goes to Albania. He's in Thailand right now, and he's going to go back and move to Albania. That's going to be his landing spot. He's got an apartment. It's almost like a bed and breakfast thing with a family. $500 a month. It costs him $15 a day to eat. He can afford that. Every other country. I'm here in the Dominican right now. I'll tell you right now. To get here, flight, 1 week stay at a really nice room. I have a fantastic room here. A great resort. They have 7 different lodges that are all connected to this right now. Punta
And
Cana.
it's all inclusive too, right? With
all the food, all the drink you can want. $1,000 for the whole week, flight and the resort included.
Yeah, that's a great deal.
You can spend $1,000 on a hotel room one night in New York City. So how do people survive in our country if we don't curtail this back and we don't put our foot on the necks of people that are making policies that are hurting us in our pockets? It doesn't matter what sexuality you are. It doesn't matter what your hair color is. It doesn't matter what you want to do with your child or not. We're not going to be able to stay in this country. So I think sensibility has to come back. Like I said, I think America gave a big FU finger. Sensibility is back. Now let's see what gets put in. Listen, he's got 4 years, but let's see what gets put into place to be able to. He's got to back his promises too. He's got to show some results because Biden's given us 4 years and we have the greatest economy and unemployment is 4% and the average income's gone up, but I still can't afford to buy anything, so that's not good. So hopefully now we start to see a rejuvenation of money back into people's pockets.
Dave, I wanted to ask you as well. I was looking at the Senate and the House, and for the first time, I think in a while, I'm not sure, but the Senate and the House are both favored for the Republicans. Is that going to make a difference? Is that going to help Trump put through some of the legislation that he wants to and some of the programs? Or is it not enough?
Difference. It is a clean sweep for the Republicans in every single branch. Executive, judicial is already obviously Republican, and then obviously legislative now. So you have the Senate, you have the House, you have the Supreme Court, and you have the executive branch, which is the president, right? All Republican. You cannot, as Frank used the word so eloquently, you cannot get a better and bigger middle finger to the leftist agenda of the Democrat Party than that. That is the American people, piece by piece. And Trump is really the final piece of it all, right? It's really the election got finished before the legislative branch finished everything, but that he was really the finishing cap on it. They focused all their effort on Trump instead of the American people. Okay, that's right. The bottom line. Trump bad, nothing for the American people.
Trump
You know,
bad.
tried to sell Frank on Joy. You know what I mean? And word
Yeah,
salad.
joy.
A lot of word salad.
And the funny part about it is, and they will listen. I hope for America's sake that the Democrats do get it, because you want to be able to have a choice. That's what makes America great. You want to be able to have two sensible choices. Okay, there's really only one sensible choice, and that's the Republican Party. Okay, but you really want to have, in order for a government to operate the way that it should, you want to have at least two sensible choices. But the Democrat Party right now is still, that's why I brought up, Nancy Pelosi arguing with Bernie Sanders. Like, they don't get it. They don't understand. They think because they live in an ivory tower and can afford things and for so many years, they just shoveled government programs down to poor people. And you know what? The working class people, including people who were poorer, said, this ain't working. This ain't working. I need something. I need to at least try something different, and hope that maybe Trump and the legislative and judicial branches can put things together that will begin to get me and give me an opportunity that, whether I'm poor, whether I'm middle class, or whether I'm wealthy, I have an opportunity to succeed. Not not equity where everybody, like Kamala said, we want everybody to finish at the same place. Everybody has to finish at the same place. No,
Right.
you want people to have an equal opportunity. Means if me, Frank, and Steve wants to open a business, okay, and
Are
we
we?
want the same exact business, same exact type of business, all across the street from each other, and we have the guts and the willingness, fortitude to do it, and willingness to compete, we have an opportunity to do that. If we want to go work for somebody, we can go and work as a person making pizza and make a wage that allows me to, like Frank said, be able to get a rented apartment, put some money away, maybe have a family, be able to do that. And under the inflation we have, you cannot do it. Absolutely not.
Dave, they compared him to Hitler. I mean,
Oh,
if they
they
could have done,
for a while they compared him to
if
Hitler.
they, if they could have dug up Satan, they would have dug up Satan. But they
Would have
compared
dug
him
up
to.
Saint.
So think about this. Think about this. How insane do you have to think? Jews in the homeland, Israel, are lining up. Now, granted, there are many that are protesting against Trump, but they are lining up to support Donald Trump.
Lining
Jews
up.
in America, Jews in America are lining up to support Donald Trump. Yes, there's some that vote against him. I understand that, but they're lining up. I mean, if he was Hitler, now Jews lined up for Hitler back in the 1940s, but they lined up at gunpoint for
Well,
Hitler.
yeah, and they didn't really know
Jews
the truth of what was.
oh, they knew, Dave. Yeah, they knew, Steve. They
You
knew,
think they
Steve. They knew,
knew?
they knew. Yeah, after a while, when you smell the stench of death in a concentration camp, you know what's going on. But bottom line, they right now they're lining up willingly to follow this man because they realize the insanity. I can't say that word enough. It's insanity. The thinking is so insane. And the Democratic Party was so fearful of losing again to Donald Trump, they slapped every lawsuit, every slur, every name and tag that they could to instill fear in the American public. That's what they were looking to do. They were looking to gain votes by fear.
Right.
Okay. And so in the end, when you look up the definition of the word cult, it's members all thinking in the same pattern. Okay, they're comfortable and they think in the same pattern. If you look at Democratic, true hardcore Democratic followers, they all think in the same pattern and they refuse to socialize with people that have been their relatives, their family members. The family members said, "You know what? I love you, but I can't vote for this. I've got to pull the trigger for what I believe in." And all of a sudden, they're ostracized from the family. That they have
Yes.
turned into a cult. They have turned into the Klan was a cult. They have turned into the Klan of politics right now, and I don't know how they're going to recover from it. I really don't. And if Trump pulls off 4 years of success, and 4 years of better, more money in people's pockets and more sane measures throughout the world and ending two wars. Listen, I'll tell you right now, my prediction is as soon as he gets in office, give him a few weeks, if not a month, you'll see the Israeli Hamas conflict at an end. You will see Ukraine and Russia at an end. You will see two war zones at complete peace with treaties. You will see Iran back to a shell of what they were, okay, because of not just U.S. threat, of world threat against them to not spark anything else up. And then the following year, you will see Donald Trump as the Time Magazine Person of the Year. And that will end everything. I'm telling you right now, it's going to happen.
So we have a commenter. His name is SK. He said that Trump is Hitler still. He grabs women by their pussies. He's a bully. He divides with hate. America will fall under this monster.
Yes. Well, you know what? If I can make a reply for the Dominican Republic, most red-blooded men do grab women by the pussy. If you
Well,
don't, then
I,
there's
I,
something.
I asked if he would rather that he grabbed cocks. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if he doesn't want him grabbing pussies, do you want him grabbing cocks? I mean, does
That's
it?
what they
Does,
want. That's the
oh,
leader
okay,
they want, because
okay.
those are white. Those are white men for Harris.
Oh, okay.
Yes, these guys who think that way are so weak. They're so weak
Are you
mentally.
saying SK is weak mentally?
Yes, I'm saying
Yeah.
he's
Okay.
weak
I think
mentally.
SK has been transformed. SK was probably an average American guy, graduated high school, maybe trying to get into college, working at a fast food joint, trying to work his way up in life. And then all of a sudden, he clutched onto his support blanket. And his support blanket was the Democratic cry. The Democratic cry is a support blanket. He's taking democracy away from us. What
Yeah.
the fuck are you people talking about? What are you talking about? Democracy
Yeah.
rules.
It's
And we're
so
a republic.
insulting. It's so insulting. Um, you know, when someone says that Trump is like Hitler to people who actually were in those concentration camps and
It
died,
is, and
it's
we're
so
gassed.
insulting to
Yeah.
I remember when it's funny because I remember this. It still sticks with me to this day. Okay, my third grade teacher, because I never heard anything like this before, right? And she was Jewish, and she told the story of her father, who was escaped from. I don't remember if it was Germany or Poland where she escaped from, but he escaped from a concentration camp, and he was down to it was something like 80 pounds. He escaped from a concentration camp because he slipped between the barbed wire. Only reason he's able to slip between the barbed wires was because he was so skinny that he was so it was there was no option. He escaped and he came across Europe, and this was the third grade teacher telling the story to our class, and this was many years ago, and it struck me because she would tell me that anytime um, he people would ask family members would ask him what it was like. He obviously had the numbers on his arm, okay, and what it was like, and he could not even speak about it. He would just break down and cry. The worst PTSD that you could have,
That's crazy.
when people talk about a coach yelling at you, PTSD, or
Yeah, yeah.
all these things that people now get, you gave me
Can't get my
PTSD.
can't get my latte. I can't get my latte. That's
Yeah,
what
right.
PTSD.
Microaggressions and stuff. No, that's real. That's real PTSD. Just like when people go to war, okay, and John McCain. One of the things I always thought was amazing about him as a person. Okay, even though at times I disagree with some of his politics, but as a person, you can never argue the fact the man was in a POW camp and was tortured, both arms broken, held without food. Those are real life tortures that people have. For people to equate what Donald Trump is from a political standpoint to what his policies are, to calling him Hitler is so absurd and so out of touch reality, and is so insulting. It literally, I just want to take those people and just shake them and be like, I'm sorry that
I just think
your parents were awful that you turned out like this.
it's disrespectful to
Your
the
parents were
Jews.
awful. Obviously, they gave you too many trophies when you were a kid for 15th place. Okay,
No ass beating.
yes, nobody got mad at you when you did something wrong. You never got yelled at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like when people say, like, look, obviously there's a line when things go too far, but there is a thing about discipline. There is a thing about developing a backbone that is real in this world, to being able to be tough enough to handle what happens in life. Okay, not to look for a bailout from a political party because you feel a certain way about yourself. Toughen up. Toughen up. It's unbelievable that people
No,
think
it is.
some of these people think. And you know what? Listen, life can be tough, but it's
Of
tough
course.
for everybody. It's tough for everybody. I don't care who you are. You could be rich and you could go home at night and your wife is barking at you. Your wife hates you. Your kids hate you. You don't think that person might have some difficulties? Just like the person who could be poor and have to. And the truth is, you could be poor and have the greatest family. One of the things I admire about, and I think this is why they voted so heavily for Trump. Family is very important in the Hispanic family. Okay,
It is.
very important to them. Catholicism is a big part for a lot of them, right? Religion is a big part of it, tied to family. Okay, and a lot of them are not poor. But what I admire about them, the ones that are here legally, okay, they will work for a better life. They are
Correct.
work for a better life. Okay. And that's what it takes. And you know what? Their families are willing to do that, and they may not have that much money, but they understand the value of family. And I think African Americans are waking up to the importance of that, the importance that it helps them succeed in life. Okay. For a long time, there was listen, it's to be admired. Single black women who are single that have raised kids and turned out to be great kids. It's admire how they have, but they shouldn't have to go through that in life. They should be able to have. And look, there are divorces that happen, but you need a mother and a father involved in your life. I'm not saying divorce. I come up from a divorced family.
Yeah,
Okay?
co-parenting.
Yeah, I come from a divorced family. You know what? My father stayed in the town that we lived in.
Yeah, they
He was
co-parented.
a teacher in the town. So you can imagine, teacher, coach, Hall of Fame coach, how embarrassing it probably was for him to go to work every day, to know that people probably were looking at him because he was going through a difficult divorce.
Back then, yeah.
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
back then. He stayed in the town because even though the family wasn't together, he wanted to make sure that the kids had a father and the mother. You
He was
can't.
present.
Yeah, and I tell you, that's why I think Hispanics are voting for Trump, because that's a big part of the success. If you want to be successful in America, the best way to be successful, and I'm not just talking about money, but is to be able to have the family together as much as you can.
The
That
family
is the
dynamic.
key for success.
Frank, first of all, you look like you may be in the cave where they found Obama. I wonder if that was true.
Obama or Osama bin Laden?
Osama bin Laden. Sorry, I misspoke
Well,
again.
no. You may be correct. I mean, Obama may be in a
Obama
cave
may
right
be
now
there
after
too.
this devastating loss. After this devastating loss, I mean, I
Yes,
definitely see him in the show.
he could be there too. So this is what I would say, Dave.
That was great.
Dave. I always can pull out a one-liner
Oh, that
every
was a
now
great
and
one.
then.
That was great.
That's why you continue to put me on air every now
You
and then.
nailed that one. You nailed it.
You worked on Wall Street, and then you took a chance and you built your business from the ground up, running camps, recruiting, hustling, and it grew. And you ran camps all over the state. You made a name for yourself. You knew college coaches, and now your business has expanded to content creation, still running camps and helping kids with recruiting. Frank took over for his father in a smaller area in Washington Mills, where we are in New Hartford, and he expanded to a much bigger property down right by where his pizzeria used to be, and took a chance and expanded there and had success, and it kind of took off. But that's all about the American dream, where you have those opportunities in front of you to make a difference, to bet on yourself, to say, listen, I know that I can do this. I have a plan. I can figure it out. I think this is the way to go. And you'll have every opportunity in the world to succeed at it. And both of you did. Both of you did. You took your business, Frank, to the next level. Dave, you left Wall Street, a lucrative job there, and started your business, took it to the next level, and then became a sports agent on top of it. So that is what I think is the definition of the American dream.
Right.
I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, Frank.
No. I was going to say I just don't think it has anything to do with education. Education helps.
It doesn't. It
It-
doesn't. You're right.
but I think it has more to do with the drive and determination of the person that's trying to achieve
Ambition.
success. I have many friends who have degrees that are doing nothing right now. They
Yep.
can't find the job they want, and they're not going to take the job that's available. They're waiting. So they have a college degree and they're working at Walmart. You know what I mean? So that ambition level is burnt out. I think they're done with it. So they wasted their
Yeah.
time, they wasted their effort. They became really smart, but how smart can you be when you're 30 and you're eating ramen noodles? So
Yeah.
my idea of combining everything, it's more the drive, determination of the person. I got my drive, and I'm not the best entrepreneur. I've had failures as well as successes. I think every good entrepreneur has. But I think the drive that I gained was from my father. I saw my
Absolutely.
father, and I think we talk about role models, and you know how that Charles Barkley said, "We're not role models; it's your parents." He's right. The people that you associate with and are tied through, whether it be by blood or whether it be by everyday activities, those are the people that are going to influence your train of thought.
That are
That's
going to
why we
shape
see.
you.
That's why we see today when kids go off to college and they spend not 4, 5, 6, 7 years on higher education campuses, you see the thought pattern that is being shaped. Okay, they're smart enough to have taken the information, but they're not smart enough to process it in the right way. Whereas my father had no education, but he taught me how to process things in the correct way. I'm not saying just my views, but how to break everything down and to actually look at things that are true or things that are not true. Because sometimes it's not that fine of a line. Sometimes it's really obvious, but people don't get it. So I got mine from my dad. I love my dad. I talk to him today. He's 90 years old and he's watching over my stores as I'm here enjoying myself with 100% humidity and mosquitoes eating me on this porch right now tonight. But bottom line, it's what you get out of. We talked about the family structure, Dave. You're totally correct. It's what you get out of that structure. It's what you get and take from the mentors that are good people that are trying to help in life, as opposed to some that are just being paid to do their job.
And the great thing about America is that you have that choice to go if you want to work for somebody, and you can go work for somebody. If you want to do what me and Frank have done and bet on yourself, and Frank's 100% right. Listen, I've honestly had as many failures as I've had successes. That's why I would say, like, I'm an entrepreneur, and I've run my own business for 22 years, but I have gone through ebbs and flows. There are times that I was doing phenomenal. There's been times that I've been doing terrible. Okay. The one thing that I love about the United States of America is that I have the opportunity tomorrow to change the direction of what I'm doing at any time and try something. Okay. Now, your wife may not agree with that. Okay. You have to consult the parties around you to make sure you take all those things into account. But that is the great thing about America. That to me, what the thing that Donald Trump does, and and even the Republican Party is that is what the beauty of America is, that you have a choice. It is not dictated to you what you can do. Listen, I would be
Exactly.
insulted. I would be insulted if I applied for a job and I got a job and someone came up to me and said, "You got this job because we had to hire a person of X, Y, and Z." I would feel like I was inferior and that I'm now in a position that I have to figure out how to get over the hump there. That would be a difficult position. If I'm getting a job, I want it because you think I'm the best guy for the job. Okay. And that's the important thing. And if you want to start a business, if you want to bet on yourself, okay, you have to understand that it is not going to be easy. Period.
Well,
Period.
realistically, in the first couple of years, your expectations are you're going to take losses.
It's
People
never
rarely
going
make
to be,
business.
no matter where you are. Ask Elon Musk, who is one of, if not the richest man in the world. Ask Elon Musk if it's easy to run all those companies that he's running. Ask him. I guarantee you, he will say that he is challenged and it is difficult every single day. Now, he has a lot more money that he could lay down a night on than the rest of us, but he's constantly challenged. And he probably had to go through, and look, he is intelligent beyond, a lot of people obviously can only hope to be as intelligent as he is. But beyond that, the guy works. He's willing to work round the clock. He owns 5 companies that are billion-dollar companies, and he spends his time a week campaigning for Donald Trump in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, no, he did. He did for sure.
Everybody has a price to pay. Everybody has the price to pay, no matter who you are. It's whether you're willing to pay that price to have an opportunity for success. And the great part is about it in America is, you know what? Even if you fail at what you do, you know that you gave it your shot. There's no harm. It's the same thing that you teach kids when you're playing. Who do you want? Who do you want to give the ball to? The guy that's willing to dive into the end zone for the touchdown, or the guy that holds the ball tight and tries to back his way into the end zone? I want the guy that's going to dive into the end zone. And you know what? Sometimes that guy's going to fumble it out of the back of the end zone. Every once in a while, that's going to happen. But I bet you that guy's going to score a whole lot more touchdowns. And I bet you he's a whole lot more enjoyable to coach because he's willing to take a chance on himself. And I think that's kind of the whole entire. And listen, that's what I'm invigorated by it. Look at the videos of people that are invigorated by it. It's amazing. And look at the videos on the other side. The crying.
I know.
Listen, whether you agree with or disagree with January 6th, those people were there to do something about it, not to cry about it. Okay? I'm not saying the way they went about it was correct. I'm saying they were willing. The Democrats will cry in a room, want a safe space, want someone to give them a blankie. They want you to, stick their thumb. They want to stick their thumb into their mouth. You know what I mean? And hold their blankie or their doll from when they were 5 years old and cry into it. In college, in Georgetown, they're giving people days off from school. Professors. I mean, how weak are some of these professors?
Yeah.
No, it's crazy.
They're willing.
It's crazy.
They'll stand up there and spew nonsense to impressionable young adults. But when the chips are on the line against them, they crawl into a corner and cry. How weak are they? To me, they're bullies. They're bullying people who don't know any better. That's the definition of a bully. A professor who stands up there and tries to influence someone who really doesn't know what's going on. Instead of educating them, they try to influence them in a direction because that's the way that they think. And
they
the second
control
it
the
doesn't
narrative.
go their way, they sit in a corner and cry.
Dave,
No relative of mine that voted Democrat is to the left. They won't come near me.
Imagine that.
They're crying.
Yep.
Oh, they're in the streets crying. They think that Trump's going to lock up everyone. He's a fascist. He's a dictator. He's going to use the military to take out anyone who opposes him. And it's just so ignorant the way people think that they can't have
They're
a constructive
indoctrinated.
conversation and understand, first of all, how this country works, and second of all, what this man stands for. The two questions I wanted to ask you first.
Well, listen, let me put this first, Steve. Hold on.
Yeah.
Have you heard the two theories right now that are coming out of Democratic analysts? So here are two theories that they want to have happen. Number one, they want Biden to immediately resign.
I think he should. Yeah.
Yeah, well, if he does, that appoints Kamala Harris as the president of the United States for the next X amount of days until the transition of power. And then they want
Correct.
her to refuse the transition of power to Donald Trump because now it's not the Biden administration, it's hers. She doesn't have to do it. Number two, here's the second analyst and the second way that they're turning it around. Let's see, I lost my train of thought for a second. Oh, yes. Judge Sotomayor on the Supreme Court. So
Yes.
she's getting up there in age. So she's getting up there in age. She's planning retirement.
Yes.
So to save
That's what I
them
was
from
going to ask.
losing, to have another judge appointed by Donald Trump and possibly pass through now because the Senate and the House are will both be Republican controlled. To save that, they're asking Sotomayor to step down immediately, retire,
So,
and so they can appoint Kamala Harris as a Supreme Court justice. Now, look at the desperation at those two approaches,
oh my God, I
right?
didn't know that.
Right. They're asking Kamala Harris to insulate the White House and not allow transition, or they're asking Kamala Harris, who has no justice experience whatsoever, no concept. Yeah, she's a prosecutor, big deal. She prosecuted marijuana cases.
She's never been a
She has
judge.
never been a
I
judge. She has no experience whatsoever in the field, and they want to appoint her as not just a circuit court judge or a state Supreme Court judge, to the Supreme Court of the United States of America. You see the desperation? That's the desperation. They are quivering in their pants. They don't know how to handle this. They
I
have no
know
strategy.
that I read that they that she was going to step down and that Trump was going to be able to appoint the replacement. I had no idea that they were trying to get her to step down now and that they were going to actually get Kamala Harris to replace her.
If they don't, Steve, then you're going to have a 7-2 majority in the Supreme Court. Now,
Right. Right. Yes.
no liberal agenda will see the light of day for maybe 20 years.
Right. 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 Wow. Wow. That's
Just,
insane.
just,
And so
just
And by the
fun
way, that's
fact
a
to play
coup
with. That's all.
d'état. If they try to push Biden out and put Kamala Harris in
I'm
without,
trying to understand this. So you're
that is
saying
a coup d'état. That
they
Yeah,
he
is an
resigned.
attempt at a coup d'état. And it's so
yeah.
funny because these people were screaming at Trump when, first of all, he didn't even he had no part in it. But they're screaming, about the whole insurrection thing. They're screaming at Trump about this, and yet this is just. I mean, it's insane the way they think. They're so hypocritical on a gigantic scale. The things
Yeah.
that they, I'll put it like this: if you've ever been in a relationship or been around someone who is a narcissist, okay, they utilize at an extreme level these kind of things, these gaslighting things, these attempts to they'll say you do something and it's them that does it. They'll say you're a cheater. It's them that's the cheater. Okay. They'll project. That's the word I was looking for. Project these things on people. It's what the Democrat. I mean, it's absurd what they do. They go and they prosecute. They prosecute Trump. They attempt at his life. They
They impeach him twice.
They impeach him. They do everything, and then they do these dastardly policies. You know, it's like they're literally the devil reincarnated over here. And it's sad because when you look at Elon Musk, former Democrat, Joe Rogan, former Democrat, Donald Trump, former Democrat. Okay,
Right.
Right down
Right.
the line.
Right.
These people are former Democrats that have switched over to Republican Party because of the absurd, far-reaching, far-left thought process that the Democrats have. If they were in power, and they had all three chambers and the Supreme Court, you bet your bottom line there'd be firing lines for people who don't think the way that they think. It's hilarious. Yep. They try to call Trump fascist because if you were there and they accused you of being racist or misogynist or any of these things, you'd be sitting in jail for misogyny. You'd be sitting in jail if they thought you were a racist. Okay? Racism is wrong, but it is not a jail sentence. Okay? It's
no,
not
I mean
actual crime, but they would make it a crime. Okay, they would upheave.
The speech, yeah.
They would upheave the Constitution in ways that you cannot possibly imagine.
That's a cult, Dave. That's a cult, and I'm telling you, realistically, when you look at, I mean, look, what else are they trying to? How about the 4B movement? Right, we were talking about this before, right, Dave? The 4B movement. You've heard of this, Steve, haven't you?
No, I haven't.
No,
the 4B movement.
Yeah, they've taken a South Korean slang action with four B's. It's Korean words, and they're like no men. They're swearing off men, sex. I don't know what else. I don't know what the other four B's are, but so these women are shaving their heads, getting rid of all their hair. They might as well shave their asses too, but they're shaving their heads and they're swearing off sex with men or even fraternization with men. They'd rather be alone. And they're going to all identify themselves with a bald head and a blue bracelet on their wrist. And they think this is going to solve the problems in America. This is going to
make a difference. That's going to change things.
Yeah, Dave, let me ask you something. Have you heard of passport bros?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So that's all that's going to happen. We were worried about Hispanic.
Just go find a conservative woman.
That's it. Well, no, you're going to find a woman that would just love the opportunity to just come here and live, right? So, passport bro, you know what that is, Steve, right? Passport bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So that we're just there'll be tons of men going overseas to Asia. They're going to grab a woman from there, bring them over here. We're going to be assimilating. We're going to be more Asian American than Hispanic American in the next 30 years. So they can 4B themselves all they want. They ain't going to stop shit.
No, it's exactly right. And those women are usually the women that are a big headache in relationships to begin with. They're they're the girl that you go on a date with, and you're like, oh, I kind of like her, but she might be a little crazy. And then she goes 4B on. You're like, and that sealed the deal. You are completely crazy. Thank you for your time. I'm moving on. Steve
knows that, Dave. Steve knows insanity for women, right?
Absolutely.
There you go. You know it. I mean, shit. We're all been there. Steve's been there. He knows.
Yeah. Crazy. I'm trying to understand this. What you're saying? No, I'm just trying to understand what you're saying about. So Biden resigns, Kamala takes over, and you're saying she can refuse to relinquish power?
I don't know how it is if it's just to make a stand and appoint for the first woman president, female president in the history of this country, or it's also to impede a smooth transition. I don't know the exact workings of that, if that's true or not, that can happen. I don't think so, but hey, listen, everybody was worried about when Trump was there and making the transition. But look, we had Biden as president, so it happens. Bottom line, I think that the one that scares me more is the Justice Sotomayor. That scenario could happen. It doesn't scare me because it will still be a 6-3 majority of
Yeah.
conservative thought in the Supreme Court, but we would be putting a moronic, uneducated, and an unwitting person on that in that seat, which is one that those should be the 9 most coveted seats in the country because you are so respected as a justice that we are going to give you the power to make justice not over just a small part of this, but the entire country. So I that second one's what scares me.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that scares me too. I didn't even know that was possible. I had no idea that it was possible. The last question I wanted to ask both of you, um, Trump obviously has a lot of work to do, and he's going to get started in January. Frank, since you are the voice of reason, where do you think he starts? After he puts the cabinet together, the inauguration, all that, where do you think he focuses attention? Is it on the war? Is it on inflation? Is it on housing? Is it on the border? Where do you think he goes first?
I think you have about 90 amendments that he made that were reversed on the first day by Biden. He probably goes back in there and with one stroke of a pen, he'll be able to reverse all those back into the favor of what he wanted, including the pipeline. I think you're going to see the border security on day one. I think you're going to see a transformation in this country where there's going to be conflict between ICE and the city politics. So now you've got government agencies coming into large cities, and they're just going to start running through city buildings, finding people that are on their list, and interrogating them, and finding out what their eligibility is as a citizen, or if they violated any laws in this country, to be able to send them back. I think that's going to be a hairy situation. We're going to have to get that straightened out on day one. And then after that, I mean, I really think that ending two world conflicts is high on that priority list. He promised it. He said, day one, I'll get in there and we'll do it. You're going to see day one in power there. You're going to see people say, right now, they're already talking. Hamas is ready to almost lay down. You're looking at Ukraine and the Soviet Union are grumbling about coming together and trying to figure this thing out. You're already seeing the pieces coming in place that once he puts his foot into that White House and first steps in, there's going to be things that are going to be signed right away and done that are going to amaze people, right? I think the economy will take care of itself. The economy, and he's not going to have a war on companies as far as curbing costs and try to price fix everything. He's going to have more free and open competition within this country
Right.
by raising
Right.
tariffs to a point where, and tariffs are a great moneymaker. You got to understand something. That's automatic tax money coming in. And people are like, well, what about the farmers last time? You're going to see government subsidies for certain segments of this country in the business world to be able to offset whatever higher tariffs that are passed along across the board to most countries in the world for stuff being brought into the United States. I think it's a win-win. I think those are the major things they'll attack first, but I really think that immigration thing and rescinding those laws that were wiped out by Biden on day one, everything goes back in the book.
Dave, where do you think he starts off first?
I think he starts deporting illegal migrants, illegal immigrant, the migrant. I think he starts with creating a steps towards world peace, just like Frank talked about with both the Ukraine and Russia conflict and getting Hamas out of power. It's already happening. Just like I said, Qatar has kicked out Hamas. They're living there high on the hog in Qatar. Qatar has kicked them out. So you're going to see pretty quickly those guys ask for some sort of resolution there so they could save their billion-dollar hides, the leaders of Hamas. So I think you're going to see that move to a resolution fairly quickly. I agree. I think you'll see an attack on the oil prices, and they will come down. Okay, and I think you'll see us become steps to become oil independent, and him sign into action to be able to create those things to happen, fracking and such. And I think that those are going to be the continued steps. I think he's going to continue to really try and figure out ways to help and lower inflation. I don't know the exact ways he's going to do it. Okay. But he's going to figure out. I mean, gas is a great start, by the way. Gas is a huge start. Gas prices, natural gas, oil, lowering the prices of those would be a huge start, because if you heat your home more cheaply, if you can drive more cheaply, if you could transport goods more cheaply, prices of everything, that'll be steps to lower inflation. And I think Trump is going to take real steps to invest in these communities, to encourage local governments to invest in their communities, to help their communities to continue to succeed, and ones that have failed in the past to figure out and ask for help in getting solutions to help them figure it out, and how to be able to grow their economies. And I think those are things that are going to happen. And I think the world leaders will be put on notice that the United States is back, and we are no longer going to take anyone's shit.
Right. Exactly. We're going to be a force to be reckoned with, and we're not going to take crap. And it's time to make America great again. Make America great again. So this has been another stellar, spectacular episode of Rebel Republic on 97.9 Unity Radio and the Coach Schumann Sports and Entertainment YouTube channel. Smash that subscribe button so we can hit 1 million subscribers, 1 million subscribers, for the voice of reason himself, coming to you from Osama bin Laden's cave in the Dominican Republic.
Señores, buenas noches de los Estados de la República Dominicana.
Yes, he's acting Spanish right now, or Dominican. He's speaking Spanish. He's saying good night. Yes, buenas noches, chupa mi pine. How about that? The coach himself, David Schumann, the YouTube channel influencer. We're going to get him to 1 million subscribers and go from there. Dave, I can't wait to see you on Husky Huddle tomorrow. I got Joe Villapiano coming on. He's got a lot to say after watching the film and breaking down the game. Yeah. Julius did a great job, but I think Joe will have some more to offer. And they have a bye week coming up, so I think doing another show, and then Friday we'll have some extra content. We can review some of the games. And
where is Joe right now?
Joe's in California.
I gotcha. Is he in coaching right now?
No, he's not coaching. No, he got out. He talked with Dave. He may start something up where, working with quarterbacks. He recruited California his whole career in the Ivy League, so he may try to work with kids, especially quarterbacks training, and he may try to do something with Dave, helping to recruit Ivy League kids, the kids that Dave has that have Ivy League potential. He's got contacts to every coach there that can help get them a look, so they may get something started there. So yeah, but he doesn't want to coach again. He made that decision just after the whole NIL thing, and because the month of July now you're not off. So he's got 4 kids, a young family, and he just wants to be there for them. And so he made the decision not to go back. Yeah. But yeah, for the voice of reason, Frank Cristiano, the YouTube channel man, Coach Schumann, Sports and Entertainment. Smash that subscribe button. We need you. We need to get to 1 million. And I am Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe. This has been Rebel Republic, only on 97.9 Unity Radio. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges and throw them back at life.